Welcome to the Firebelly Social Show. We're focused on talking to food and beverage brands that are on a mission to make the world better.
Hey everyone, Duncan here with another episode of the Firebelly Social Show, where we shine our light on founders and leaders of mission-driven food and beverage brands. So you know it, they're an interesting crew, they're very passionate, they're dedicated, and it's so fun to talk to them. This episode is brought to you by Firebelly Marketing, an agency focused on creating authentic connections with customers on social media. And if you want to know more, go to firebellymarketing.com and you'll learn a lot more. So with no further ado, I'm super excited about our guest today. He is very passionate. He loves surfing, and he's passionate about health, business, and he just likes living life to the fullest. And I think that my colleague and friend Lauren Johnson is going to love his attitude about being an enthusiast for dogs first, people second. And so he brings his energy to everything he does. He's the co-founder of roo.bru, and it is, I'm going to say it's an energy drink, although he describes it as a top-notch coffee alternative. So with no further ado, welcome, Sam.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. What a pleasure.
Absolutely. So let's talk about this. What was the light bulb moment for you? When did you decide, like, hey, the world needs roo.bru, and tell us what it is?
Yeah, of course. So I had graduated from the University of Florida and I studied construction management. So I was nowhere near the realm of CPG space or anything like that. And so I went to work after college, and I was working in commercial construction management, slugging coffee. And I was watching all my coworkers slug coffee as well. And it's a very demanding job. So we're trying to stay caffeinated. We're trying to stay focused. But myself and a lot of the other people that I was working with kind of had a love-hate with coffee. The energy was great, but the jitters, the anxiety, the stomach issues, the 2 p.m. crash, all of it kind of didn't seem as functional as it should be for me. And so I was also simultaneously going through kind of like a health and nutrition kick. I've surfed competitively for a good portion of my life, and I've always been really interested in, what can make me function better. And so those two kind of simultaneous things just combined into this idea of, hey, like, why isn't there something better? And I tried a couple of the other alternatives on the market at the time. But a lot of them didn't have the caffeine that I was looking for, or they tasted terrible or whatever. So yeah, I was inspired by a couple of ingredients, mainly rooibos, which is a South African tea, absolutely wonderful flavor, but it's uncaffeinated. So you're like, oh, what can we mix in there? And next thing you know, COVID happened, started working from home, and I was pretty much waking up my roommates to a new concoction every morning. I would, stay up and mix some ingredients and wake them up with a drink that eventually turned into the product that we have today, 3 years later.
That's phenomenal. And rooibos is a often misunderstood and mispronounced phenomena. It is a form of tea, correct?
Yeah, so it's a shrub, and it's native to South Africa. It's actually very popular in South African culture. It's just an absolutely beautiful, smooth tea packed with antioxidants, super good for your heart health. And yeah, it's tasty, it's good, and it mixes well with our blend.
That's amazing. And let me ask you this, you guys start the company and you've got some co-founders, and what are some of the, I guess, key accomplishments or things that you experienced along the way?
Yeah, sweet. So my best friend Luke and I are the ones who started the business together. He and I had always talked about business and kind of had an interest, outside of our friendship on starting something eventually. In terms of key accomplishments, man, there's been so many. It is such a challenge to start a business, especially for us, it was self-funded. So that was a huge thing that we're pretty proud of to this day. We don't have any outside investors, and there may be a time when we're ready to scale, but at this point, we're very proud of what we've done. But yeah, key accomplishments. I remember having not our first purchase order, but the first purchase order to manufacture our product where we didn't have to take any money out of our own pocket, and we were over the moon. We were like, this is free. We just got all like our inventory restocked from our own bank account or from our business bank account. So that was a huge moment, as well as just the kind of support we've received from friends and family, and then people that we didn't know. So there were kind of two tiers to it. Like when we started the business, people tried our product, friends and family gave us great feedback, and it was amazing to see just like the outpouring of support from those that care about us and believed in us, and we wouldn't be here today without them. And then on the other hand, when we started getting orders from names that we didn't know, that was always, we'd like text each other like, yo, do you know Leslie? Like, and he would be like, no. And I'm like, I don't either. And we thought it was the craziest thing. We were like, wow, this woman in Ohio is ordering our product. And so
it finally broke past the friends and family.
Yes. And those are just like the exciting moments. It seems so minuscule, but all the hard work that goes into having those orders is crazy.
And I know you've described roo.bru as a superfood symphony, with each ingredient composing a harmonious symphony of natural goodness. And I was reading the ingredients: maca root and guarana, and reishi, of course, the emperor of mushrooms. Tell us about those ingredients. Those sound amazing.
Yeah, of course. So when we formulated this blend, we tried to look at the body from a holistic point of view, in the way of how can we support ourselves from top to bottom? How can we support cognitive function? How can we support heart health? How can we support immune system? How can we support libido? How can we support recovery? And so we basically tried to pick specific ingredients to function as a whole together. So whether it is the reishi, which is great for your immune system, or the maca root that supports those natural energy levels, turmeric, so great for anti-inflammatory. The list kind of goes on and on, but yeah, all 8 ingredients function really well together, and they sort of balance each other. I mean, we have guarana, which is a great source of caffeine that gets a bad rep because energy drinks use it and combine it with all these artificial, crap. But balanced with ashwagandha, which keeps your mind calm and steady. So it's kind of looking at that from the whole perspective is what helped us formulate the blend.
And it's been, I'm sure it's been a fun journey for you with getting to know all these ingredients in great detail, along with how they interact with the other ingredients, and then sourcing them. What's that all been like?
Yeah, sourcing has been, a whirlwind, because we entered this space without any experience, and have learned so much. But yeah, when we started the business, we always told ourselves that we wanted to do this the right way. So that meant for us sourcing ethically, knowing where our product comes from. And we had lots of great help with that through some of the co-packers that we worked with. And yeah, today we're pretty proud. We haven't been able to go visit any of the farms yet, but hopefully when the budget allows a couple plane flights, we would love to do that. But yeah, we're pretty proud of where we source from.
And I think that what's really interesting is the packaging is just, really appealing and simple. And there's the kangaroo. And so I wanted to ask about the kangaroo. And also, let's face it, I love the irreverent branding. It's not fucking coffee, man.
Thank you. I didn't know if I could curse on here, so I'm glad.
Yes, of course, please do.
All right, fuck yeah. I've been holding that back. So my family is Australian, which is, I obviously don't have the accent. I was born in the States. but my family's Australian, and with that comes a lot of witty humor and kind of the cheeky like sense of fun that we tried to carry across into our brand. And that's where the kangaroo came from, as a tip of the hat to the old Aussie side. And yeah, we kind of started out with the slogan of a feel good coffee alternative. And as we grew in our brand identity, we really wanted to lean into the Australian culture. We think that the idea of having a health and wellness brand that can still have fun and not take life too seriously kind of represents us as people as well. And so we came up with the idea of, it's not fucking coffee, mate. And it couldn't be more simple than that. Like it leaves the consumer wondering, well, if it's not coffee, what is it? And that's where we get the chance to step in and explain to them, like, hey, this is your new morning routine.
I
It's
mean,
not fucking coffee.
I just got to give you, mad props on the courage, to not only do something, without bootstrap, but to make such, a daring innovation. And there's some really great work you're doing. And I can understand why, when you said the person in Ohio ordered the product, you were over the moon about it. But you've got, the humor is really interesting. I think, and you've got merch. And yeah, so now let me ask you this: who do you want? What big news do you have at the moment? Do you have anything happening that you want people to know about?
Yeah. We actually have. I'm really proud of this one. So this kind of rolls back into my background in surfing. We've been working with Tosh Tudor, who is a professional surfer. He's from California, Southern California. He absolutely rips. And he found our product very organically, actually. So we didn't reach out and say, hey, can you promote roo.bru? He ended up finding us doing a demo at one of the markets that we're in, Seaside Market in Cardiff. And he fell in love with it. So we started hooking up with some product, and we ended up doing this longer form interview. And it basically talks about, what Tosh's life was like growing up, what he's doing these days. It talks about where he likes to surf, whether he likes the East Coast, the West Coast, the food, the music. And it's more than just a commercial or something that pushes the brand specifically. It's really like a lifestyle piece that gives you the background on the brain of this guy who charges huge barrels. And he's an interesting cat. So we've just finished up the video, and we're hoping to publish it on some various surf publications, and it should be going live pretty soon. So we're pretty proud of that. And that was an entire in-house effort. So we did all the filming, we did all the editing. We had some help from some good friends, and Tosh's surf filmer gave us some clips to use. But yeah, it's nice to have a pretty piece that we're very proud of without putting a ton of money into it.
I mean, and that just speaks to your ingenuity. And I saw one of the pieces on TikTok. Tosh gets it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that was kind of like the preview of the longer piece, and Tosh does get it. He gets it.
I also have to say that I like it's sort of the opposite of sales. It's like, hey, we get to hang out with Sam and Chris and the crew, Luca and the crew, and it's the videos. You're right. There's a lot of humor in everything.
Thank you. Yeah, we strive to be funny, and we've also. So another thing I'm a bit excited about. We've been working on some skits, just short form social media stuff. They should be pretty entertaining. We're kind of scheduling them out for next month and beyond as we speak.
Super cool. Now let me ask you this: what are some of the ways people or you like to drink roo.bru?
Yeah. So for me, I'm a hot latte kind of guy. I love making my latte in the morning. It's kind of like a ritual for me. So super easy. I grab my bag of roo.bru, got it right here. Grab a tablespoon, toss in the mug, add 2 ounces of hot water, not exactly. I'm not measuring in the morning, but boil some water in the kettle, chuck it in, a little bit of honey, give that a nice stir. And then I have a milk frother on the side. So I'll froth my milk, try to get my nice, I'm no expert, I'm no barista, but I try to get some good space. What do they call it? Like the air bubble spacing or whatever. And then I do my best to just completely butcher the latte art every time.
I have to say that I love the videos with your dad. That is just like, I mean, I know it's probably that generational gap is probably not so obvious, but the way you play it is really great. And then he says it's fucking terrible or whatever he said. I don't know what he said at the beginning, but then you come back. Why can't you fucking be like everyone else?
Yeah.
And he come back at the end and he's like, it's fucking tasty.
Yeah. So that was such a hilarious moment as well, because I was visiting home and Luke was there, my co-founder, and Luke was like, we had thrown around this idea video with my dad because he's got the Aussie accent, like it's our whole brand in one person. And he's got the humor, he's got the wit. So Luke was pushing it pretty hard, and I had to convince my dad to do it. And he was totally game, except he did not want to say fuck on camera. And we made him take probably like 30 takes until he would say fuck. Because he would be like, oh yeah, okay, I'll say it this time. And then he'd be like, yeah, it's pretty bloody good. And we'd be like, no, Dad, say it's fucking good. So around take 30, he finally succumbed to our pressure, and
he just didn't want to do it anymore. He was done. He was like, I just need to get it done so I can move on. That's really cool. I love that you were having fun and doing some serious work and making the world a better place. Now you have a partnership that I wanted to ask you about with SavorBrain. Let's talk about that and what's happening with that.
Yeah, of course. So SavorBrain has been awesome. I am so proud to even have a small part of working with them, and I'm very, very impressed by what they're doing. So it's worth checking out the story, of course. But we got connected with them, and we learned that Kelsey Boyer, who was a professional snowboarder, suffered a brain injury, and then it turned into a series of brain injuries during one of her snowboarding seasons. And she ended up having to go to the hospital, have surgery, had a crazy recovery. And this was kind of before helmets were so widely accepted in the snowboarding community. And to me, coming from a background of surfing and skateboarding and a bit of snowboarding as well, it really resonated with me. Like, I've had a series of concussions. They are such a tough thing to overcome, and it's a emotional and mental and physical struggle that people can't really see from the outside. Like, you can have a concussion, and to others around you, it doesn't look like anything's different. Like, there's no visible injury for the most part, especially during like your recovery. And it's a really long, scary and hard recovery. So when we kind of came in contact with this nonprofit and got to meet Kelsey and talk over, what she's doing, we just fell in love with it. I mean, to Luke and I, it really hit home. And so, yeah, they're based in Utah. Kelsey's out there snowboarding every day, and basically she does her best with her wonderful team, to bring awareness to traumatic brain injuries in athletes and to get helmets to kids. They do all these cool events where they, get a helmet company to supply a ton of helmets, and they'll throw them out to the crowd at one of the mountains at one of the resorts. And so, yeah, we just thought it was super cool. We ended up doing a fundraiser for them last summer, and we're hoping to do another one this summer. We basically threw like a big party where we had 5 different DJs here in La Jolla. 5 different DJs. We had a bunch of different vendors come who were all local to the area. We had roo.bru martinis going, which was an interesting and new novel concept. We kind of tested the waters with that one, and they were absolutely delicious. And yeah, we raised a bunch of money for them. We were super happy to be able to give back to that group that's doing such great things.
Sam, let me ask you this. You're working with some of your closest friends, right? How do you keep the balance of like this big thinking and serious business along with just having a good time?
Man, that has been a learning process. Especially I think between Luke and I, it's been the toughest because we are like brothers. So we're not afraid to argue. We're not afraid to disagree. And when we first started working together, it was tough to navigate that balance. There were times where we were both so stressed out, working other jobs and trying to build a brand is not easy. It's very time consuming. And, we'd have our arguments. We would disagree. We'd end up yelling at each other, and it was unlike both of us. And it was really just kind of a expression of the stress and the struggle that we were going through at the time. But through persistence and open communication and learning to separate the boundaries between business and friendship, we have almost, I would say, a better relationship than ever. I talk to him every day. He's still my brother. And we've sort of figured out how to balance, like, okay, when we jump on a meeting, let's talk about our lives and what's going on and not work stuff, like fun stuff for the first 5-10 minutes and the last 5-10 minutes. And that has been so key to us because at the end of the day, we're friends, we're brothers first. We love each other, and we don't want to let disagreements in the business. I mean, we are yin and yang. So I'm like creative brain. Let's do this. Let's do this. I try to spend all our money. He's like, let's keep some money. And so we may disagree during that middle part of the meeting, like when we have to talk business stuff. But at the end of the day, we always want to reinforce that we are friends and we have a good time with each other. So
That's super interesting. I wanted to also point out all the different ways that the drink is appealing. It's organic, it's non-GMO, gluten-free, plant-based, sugar-free, additive and preservative-free. And even the pouches are made out of 40% recyclable plastic.
Correct. 40% post-consumer recycled plastic. So that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, which was we wanted to do business the right way. It was a lot of upfront work and a lot of upfront cost. And, probably part of the reason Luke and I yelled at each other at different times because it was stressful trying to do everything the right way. But at the end of the day, we want consumers to be proud of the product that they buy. We want them to hold it and know, like, hey, this has no artificial crap in it. Hey, this packaging isn't as harmful to the environment as most other packaging. We want them to know that, like, what they're drinking is really good for them, and it's sourced from places that are doing the right thing as well. So that's kind of what our goal was, and I think we accomplished that pretty well.
I think that, I want to just say how appreciative I am of you for the vision and the courage and also the conscience that you seem to just sort of ooze, and you guys are doing a great job with that. And, thank you for making the world a better place because, that is what you're doing. And as a founder, as you know, there's all kinds of different things you got to deal with on different days, right? Just the shit doesn't stop. It just depends on the day what it is.
Oh man, it's like you would never guess. You would never guess. There are hurdles daily, weekly, and monthly, quarterly, yearly.
So yeah, and what other things can we tell people? I mean, we want them to buy, and we want them to buy directly from you. So it's drinkroobru.com.
Yep, drinkroobru.com, ROOBRU.
And then they can find you on social media as well.
Yep, it's all Drink Roo.bru, DRINKROOBRU.
And
Definitely.
there's a cool little blog. So you can, if you want to read a little bit more and get into the brand, you can check out the blog. There's some I love it. There's no kimono. It's just sort of all open. It's like, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's what's happening. It's very transparent. Is that what social does for you guys? Is just sort of like help connect you with people?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we want to build a community, and it's all about being open and showing what we're doing. And again, that's kind of a bit of what we're working on with some of these upcoming skits, is like what's going on in the business, or you'll just see my friends and I kind of like, making jokes about coffee or whatever. And yeah, we want people who relate to our humor, who relate to the health and wellness side, who want to live an active and fun lifestyle, to jump on our pages, whether it be our website or our Instagram or our TikTok, and be like, oh yeah, we relate to this. Like, this is fun. This is funny. This is cool.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I brought attention to something that I saw on your website. I can't find it now, but it's a quote. And is it I don't know how do you say his name? I know it's a Hippocratic oath, but is it Hippocrates?
Hippocrates, I
Hippocrates.
think.
Thank you.
I could be torching that as well. So
Hippocrates. We'll go with hypocrisy and Hippocrates, which maybe he didn't have any, but
yeah.
and it's like it's something about what you put in your body mattering, right? It's like
Yeah, the quote is, "Let food be thy medicine shall be thy food."
I mean, that is beautiful. I mean, especially in a day when people are paying so much closer attention, right, to what's on the label. It's like, who the fuck knew about xanthan gum, for example,
Yeah,
right? It's like, it's
exactly.
terrible. Or that gelatin is, originates with pigs and pork. And how many vegetarians eat gelatin snacks all the time, right? It's like,
Right.
so I think that that is such a, that's why I want to bring attention to that quote. That's like, say it one more time.
Let food be thy medicine, and thy medicine shall be thy food.
That's a
I
wonderful
almost
quote.
forgot
I
it for
mean,
a
I think
second.
we can all we can all think about it. See, this is what happens, everybody, when Sam doesn't get to surf for a few days. There is
Yeah,
some,
the brain starts going in all different directions.
despite the great support from roo.bru, he needs some cognitive support from the ocean. So
I do. I do. I was thinking, though, you reminded me of a funny story um, about reading labels, which may have impacted my life more than I even know. When I think I must have been like 10 years old, and my stepmother told me she was going shopping. Would I like to come join her? Yeah, I can get whatever snacks I want if I come join her, because I never wanted to go. So I went, and she I, at the time, loved cosmic brownies. Do you remember those?
yes,
Yeah, like absolutely terrible. But these brownies that have little sprinkles on top and are about as processed as they can get. But at the time, that was like the 12 out of 10 snack for me. And so I started, we got to the grocery store, and I was like, oh, I want cosmic brownies. I want cosmic brownies. And she was like, well, if you can read all of the ingredients on the label and pronounce them correctly, you can have it. And that was her little teaching moment of, this kid's going to read the label and realize that this isn't even real food. And so lo and behold, I accepted the challenge thinking I'm going to crush it, probably chocolate, like whatever, easy. I would know. And I went and I grabbed the package and I turned it over, and man, xanthan gum was only the start of it. It was like tri-oxidized, blah, blah, blah. Like there were outrageous ingredients. And even then, at 10 years old, after reading that ingredient list, I put it back and said, you know what, maybe I'll get something else.
I mean, it's really interesting, right? Because there's so much stuff in there, and you have no idea how your body is going to digest it. What it's going to do to you. And I think people need to think about that more. I'll give a shout out to Carrie Song from Abbott's. And would love to connect you too. But she talks about the same kind of thing. It's like, hey, it's like if you can't pronounce it, don't put it in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And also
100%.
that some of the best food also looks the best. Some beautiful ingredients. They're just like yours. It's like the palette that you have with all the different ingredients laid out next to them. I think that is, it's true. It's so true. And anything else you want to say to the audience before we call it a day?
Man, well, first of all, I want to thank you, Duncan, for having me on. That was a blast. It's always nice to share our story and kind of look back. It gives you a little bit of nostalgia, thinking back on the fun times. It's not every day you get to do that. But yeah, as for the audience, man, just try to follow your passions, see what's interesting to you, and give it a go, especially while you're young. There's always, it's easy to not fail and play it safe. It's much harder to try something risky and fail. But if you look back on it later in life and you never gave it a shot, like you're going to be bummed. So got to give it a shot, got to give it a go. Follow those dreams, follow the passions. That's what's going to make the world a better place.
Now, come on, play along with me. How would your dad say that?
He'd say, go fucking do what you want to do, mate.
Thank you so much. This has been a really great conversation, Sam. It's definitely, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed your passion and your energy and your excitement and courage. And, it's a really laid back conversation. Thank you for making the world better, for the things that you're doing with your company and your colleagues. And, you just keep going, my man. And everyone else, you've been listening to another episode of the Firebelly Social Show, where we shine our light on founders of mission-driven food and beverage brands. And certainly one of the coolest guys here, Sam Mitchell with roo.bru. Drink roo.bru.com, so check it out. This episode has been brought to you by Firebelly Marketing, where we help brands create authentic social connections with their audience. Go to firebellymarketing.com to check it out. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Sam. We'll see you next time.
Thanks so much. Cheers, Duncan.
Thank you, Sam. Okay, so psych, we came back because Sam wanted to make sure that everyone that's listening got a special discount code. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, of course. We got to hook up the listeners to Firebelly. So if you go on our website and check out with the code Firebelly, you will get 15% off on whatever you order.
There you go, everyone. Drinkroo.com. Sam Mitchell in the house. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Firebelly Social Show. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.